Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel, I analyze the astrological charts of public figures, and they normally come in the form of actors, artists, musicians, politicians, billionaires, CEOs, criminals. But today, I'll be analyzing the chart of a very, very gorgeous nepo baby, a perfect human specimen, the daughter of Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz. Of course, I'm talking about Zoe Kravitz. Okay, so the reason why I'm looking at her today is because she's greedy. It's making headlines. Her love life makes headlines. She was with Channing Tatum for 3 years, then she had a fling with Austin Butler on her new movie, allegedly maybe, and now she's with Harry Styles. Good for her. Love it. And I'm so jealous. Anyway, I want to look at her chart because she's got so much mystique. Like she kind of has that old movie star vibe of being cool and aloof and quiet with a very strong presence, and I love that about her. So I want to make her a little less mysterious today and figure out what's going on behind that perfect face of hers. What's going on? Anyway, before I dive in, I just want you guys to know that I've got a bunch of readings. I've got like a 2-week period. But I don't know, by the time I have this out, they might all be sold out maybe. But I do have a 2-week period coming up where I'm doing 60-minute readings. So if you would like to get a reading with me, this is a great opportunity. This window of time is very, very limited. And maybe if there are spots, if there are no spots left, you could email my assistant Sarah, and we can find you a spot. But otherwise, there are limited spots, so jump on it now. And I'm also trying to plan. I am planning a trip. I'm planning a retreat in Europe, and we're thinking about doing either Italy or Greece. So if you are interested, please click the Trovo Trip link below, fill out the survey, and let me know what you would like to do. I'm tossing up between Italy or Greece. And you can have other countries as an option as well, like if you would like some other places, but I'm leaning towards Italy or Greece. So if that's something you're interested in, please click that link below. Okay, thank you so much. Let's talk about Zoe Kravitz. Okay, so she is a Libra rising. She is a Sagittarius sun, Venus in Scorpio, Moon in Virgo, Mars in Aries. Very interesting. Bit of a free spirit. She's a gorgeous gremlin of a woman. Like she's very wild. Like she would never, because she's a Libra rising, she would never be unpleasant in interviews. She would always be very civilized and very sweet. You know, butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. But behind that first layer of the onion, it's crazy. Not in a bad way, but she's very young, wild, and free. You know, if you think of, she's got similar placements, not the same, but similar placements to like Britney Spears, Libra rising, Sagittarius sun, Mercury. It's very, very heavy there, you know, and Uranus, like she's got a stellium in the 3rd house in Sagittarius and a Libra rising. Like it's very Britney coded. So yeah, not everything's the same. They're not the same people. I'm just letting you know the energy is quite similar. I think she's got a little bit more of a stable situation with her parents, though. So with this chart, what can I see about her love life? With her relationships, there's a fight for power. Martian Venuses. So Venus is in Aries, Venus in Scorpio. There is a fight for power. Relationships are punctuated by fights, and sometimes that's hot. You know, sometimes there's that kind of sexy competitive edge to the relationship potentially, but it can go left real quick. Venus and Scorpio, I think, in the way I interpret it, and I say this as a Venus in Taurus, this is my observation, they need to be in a relationship where they have a lot of power, where they have all the power, because when they're very young, they start off being in relationships where they're powerless, and it's traumatizing. So as they age and get older, they need to have that power. They need to have control. And how I look at I have dated a Venus and Scorpio before. They have you standing on a beautiful plush rug, a very expensive, $10,000 Persian rug. It's gorgeous, and it's yours. However, they are holding the edges of it ready to pull it out from under you. And it's because of trauma, because they have had the rug pulled out from under them and they will never let that happen again. So the only way they can prevent that is to make sure that they provide the rug and they're holding the bloody edges. And so, yeah, the Venus-Pluto conjunction, there's a fight for power. There is this need to possess. And that's kind of hot. It's sexy. It's hot. It's kind of scary for me. But some people like that. And I do think that with this placement, this Venus and Scorpio Pluto conjunction, she's had obsessive, stalkery kind of admirers. That is likely with this placement as well. I think with it in the second house, it does indicate that marriage could be very good for money. Like if she could be with someone that is in the industry, it might financially pay off. We'll see how that goes. Pluto is here, so there could also be a big loss. If they break up, it could, because Pluto in the second, money goes in, money comes out pretty traumatically, you know? Like usually people with a Pluto in the second house, like they have nothing and then they gain so much money and then maybe they'll lose it again and then gain it again. Or they are born into money and then they'll lose a lot of it. But it's pretty nicely aspected overall. Venus is also here, which makes it a bit calmer. It makes it a little bit more gentle. But it does denote, being in a power couple could be very good for her bank account. We saw that with Channing Tatum, and they collaborated on a few things, didn't they? But overall, it is nicely aspected. So I wouldn't say it's anything to fear, but she still has these relationships that are, there's a little bit of war here. There's a little bit of obsession here. There's a bit of possessiveness here. And she was in that relationship with that, and I did a synastry between her and Channing Tatum before. He's a bit flighty, and she's, in terms of like a relationship, she's very, very intense. In terms of him, he's quite flighty. I'm wondering if he cheated on her. I think I talked about in that previous reading. Anyway, that would traumatize her, someone cheating on her. Like, who would cheat on Zoe Kravitz? Anyway, certainly if you date a superficial Venus and Gemini actor. Anyway, no hate to the Venus and Geminis. Love you. The moon in Virgo with the Lilith with the South Node. Mummy's traumatized. What happened there? It's almost like her mother got... It feels like, from her perspective, I'm not saying this is the literal like thing that happened, but from Zoe's perspective, her mother got left behind a lot. Because when you have moon playing into the 12th house, it can play out in a few ways. Moon in the 12th house, or moon playing out in the 12th house, can manifest as a mother having trouble with her mental health, like a sick mother or an unhappy mother, a depressed mother. It can play out in those ways. It could also indicate that there is like her sense of home and like where she belongs, like that what do you call it, that domestic sphere. It's in an unstable house. So while Virgo is incredibly regimented, there's also a feeling of instability. So I'm wondering if she's quite regimented with her body in order to have some sense of like stability, because she grew up in a very unstable environment with not a lot of boundaries. And so where she looks for stability is through self-imposed restriction. So that is here. Lilith is here as well. It's not in a conjunction with the moon, so it's not that big of a deal. It's 12 degrees away, but they're still together. So yeah, there could be a difficult relationship with the mother, very close to the mother, but still a very difficult relationship. And maybe that's because the mother has experienced a lot of trauma and abandonment or rejection. And that is something that Zoe has absorbed. I do know that her mother and her father co-parented and they're very good friends, but there's no such thing, as Abba said once, there's no such thing as a happy divorce. So, yeah, there's some things here. And then South Node with the moon, I'm wondering, because she was married at one point, quite young, right? She got married before her Saturn return. I vaguely remember she had a divorce. I'm wondering if she thought very early in life maybe she wanted babies quite young, like she wanted to start a family. People with moon on the South Node, very often, not all the time, but very often they marry quite young in the hopes of starting a family. Sometimes they start a family quite young as well. And I'm wondering if that's something that was in her sights very early on in life, and maybe it still is. But she's having her nodal return, and as someone I'm the same age as her, there's whatever's on the South Node, whatever energy's on the South Node, whatever planet, sign, whatever, it's the thing you got to let go of. And I'm wondering, with her approaching 37 and her dreams of motherhood potentially feeling like they're slipping away, like having that home, having that stable home that she always wanted for herself, maybe it's not meant to be and it's slipping away and I've got to let go of it. I'm wondering if that's something that she's thinking about right now. And sometimes the thing that you let go of, you end up getting in the end, because whatever is meant for you can never be withheld from you. But the South Node with the moon is like letting go of that and stop trying to control everything. Stop being so regimented with everything. Darling, get into your Pisces North Node and go with the flow. And maybe that's what she's doing now with all these boys. She's like, she's just surfing the waves. She's like, I'm just surfing the waves with these hot dudes. Yeah. Also with the North Node, it plays into the 6th house of health and health and regulation and bills. It's the boring house, but it's very spiritual. Learning to Ceres is here, learning to nurture herself, incorporating a spiritual practice in her everyday physical world, her life, like that's super important. And creating boundaries for herself, like soft boundaries. I think it's quite strained and strenuous up here. It's strained and it's strenuous because she was born into an environment where she didn't have a lot of control, and so I think she tried to give herself some of that power back by controlling, potentially, I don't know, but what she ate, her exercise regime. Like, I think she's very particular. Virgos be like that, especially with the South Node on there, very particular with her health and regime and her beauty, to do all those things. It's very anxious energy. She's got to learn to let that go and be chill and change the way she does things in her everyday life, still have that regimen, but just the boundaries need to be softer. She's so accustomed to boundaries. I think it's very strained. It's very strenuous. Now, Mars is on her descendant. Look, another placement that indicates that relationships are fraught with competitiveness, jealousy, potentially. Like, Mars is a malefic. If Mars is the planet of war, if Mars is, and it's in its home sign, she's got a temper, she's got ambition. Mars on the sitting on the descendant. If she gets with someone in the same industry, in a relationship with someone in acting specifically, it may turn competitive. It may turn into resentment. So, and also I have said before, Mars on the descendant, Mars in the 7th house requires a lot of self-reflection, because you are prone to starting fights, darling. You are prone to starting fights, and in your head, maybe they're starting the fight. That's why this placement requires a lot of self-reflection and inner work, because having a malefic planet like Mars, the planet of war, it's a selfish planet sitting in a house of sharing and caring and peaceful partnerships. Oh, you make a lot of open enemies with that. You're firing away. So it's something to think about. And this does not mean you're a bad person if you have this, but it is a notoriously difficult placement. Okay? Oh yeah, she does. She's got Saturn, she's got Neptune, and even Uranus squaring that Mars. What does that mean, Charlotte? It just means she could, delusional anger. Like, that's the potential there. She's spicy. She's very, very spicy. She's very volatile. I will say, by the way, she seems like a really lovely person. There are some lovely parts of her chart, but this is an intense placement. Like, this is one of her worst qualities, that Mars and Aries squared these things. And generational planets represent something that's bigger than you. They're situational. They're environmental. They're squaring her Mars. Like, I think that when she was, from a very, very young age, she was very aware that she couldn't be as free as she wanted to be. She can't live young, wild, and free. The public is looking at her. Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune govern things like fame, right? She grew up in that fishbowl. So, yeah, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune squaring her Mars, being in an environment where there is a lot of judgment, there is a lack of boundaries, and things are always moving around. She's always moving house. She's got nothing to grasp onto. I also would be a pretty fiery person if I crave stability and I crave freedom and I can't get that and my environment doesn't allow me to have that because it will cause family disgrace. It pissed me off too. So there we go. The house is flooded. It's really interesting. I talked about that Virgo moon, like a regimented yet unstable household with no boundaries, right? The moon, which governs the fourth house, like governs like the fourth house of home, is playing out in the 12th house of no boundaries. And get this, Neptune, which governs the 12th house, is playing out in the fourth house of of home. So there's no boundaries in this home. There's no two placements indicating the home is not stable. It's not stable. And yes, part of fortune, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of creativity. Like she grew up in like a household or two households, two separate households where there was lots of music and art. Like her parents are hippie dippies, okay? So the Neptune here makes a lot of sense, but the house is still flooded. Flooded with creativity, but also just flooded. Like she's regimented because she didn't grow up in a regimented environment. So yeah, it just seems a little difficult. It's still loving though. I can see that she's very much loved, but she's also very much lonely as well. She's loved, but she's lonely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then she's got the Sun Mercury conjunction, and I know it's not in a conjunction with Uranus, but Uranus is with the Sun and Mercury. She's a natural creative. She's an explorer. She loves an adventure. She doesn't like sitting still for too long. Um, I think she has to be a creative. I think there's nothing else that she could really do. And she's kind of a weirdo and a unique, like an intellectual, a unique thinker. Because Uranus is the higher mind. So if you got Uranus in a conjunction with a personal planet, you're going to be someone of a higher mind, of very creative, potentially very social. And also a bit of a weirdo. I'm also wondering when because this is third house, when she was young, she felt like a social outcast. Maybe when she went to school, she got picked on because she was famous or her parents were famous, sorry. If she was homeschooled, then she feels very detached from her peers. And she really didn't grow up in a regular schmegular environment. It's a very unique way of growing up. Third house is that period from 5 years old to 13 years old where you're learning your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. And she seems like a very big fish in a very small pond here. And that's difficult. You can feel like a bit of a weirdo, but also she's got the potential to be quite popular, but she's always going to be kind of weird and awkward a little bit. So again, Britney Spears has a similar kind of energy. She had that really strange upbringing. Libra rising, so charming. Again, butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. Cancer, midheaven. So how the world sees her is this. She does well playing girl next door characters. I think that's how the world wants to see her. I think she's a lot more complex. Working behind the camera works really well for her. Her career, she's an actress, and yes, she's successful. I think being a Nepo baby is part of it, but nothing's really stuck. She played Catwoman. I guess that was it. I haven't seen it. Was she good in it? It hasn't really stuck. I think with her midheaven ruler being Virgo in the 12th house, I think she's better off being behind the camera. I think the directing works better for her, as gorgeous as she is and as beautiful as she is on screen. There's something wounded here. I don't think she can fully be in her work to her creative strengths in front of a camera. The midheaven ruler in the 12th house indicates that she needs to be a storyteller. She needs to intertwine her spiritual world with her career and her art. She's an artiste. She's not just a performer. And yes, a performer and performance artist, yes, but she's not a performance artist. She's not. She's introverted. And she does well behind the camera. The midheaven ruler in the 12th house should be behind the camera. It shouldn't be on she shouldn't be on public display all the time. She should make the display. Chiron is in a conjunction with the midheaven, so there's a lot of concerns about how she's perceived by the public. Am I deserving of my fame? Am I deserving of this film? Am I deserving of the accolades? Am I deserving of this award? I don't know if she's won anything or been nominated for anything. I don't think it's a lot. I follow the acting awards race. I don't think she's been nominated for anything really significant. Please check me. Maybe it's a Golden Globe, but she doesn't get a lot of them. So there's a bit of an insecurity about how she's perceived by the public and who she's meant to be. What am I meant to do? She should be directing women's stories. That last film that she did with Channing Tatum, I forgot what it was called. Fantastic. She should be doing more of that. Certainly with the midheaven ruler playing out in that 12th house, she should be writing stories about female nightmares. The moon is feminine. Cancer is feminine. Mother, women, girls, things like that. So with that midheaven ruler playing out in the 12th house of nightmares and fantasies, that's exactly what she should be doing. Directing stories, telling stories about the feminine nightmare, the feminine female experience, the human female experience, the female human experience. That's what she should be doing. That's her purpose. Her films could also be incredibly healing for the world. She needs to be a filmmaker. She needs to call Sofia Coppola. Call the Coppolas darling. But I think she's an artistic genius. People just don't see it yet. She needs to keep directing. She's very good at it. Anyway, yeah. She's had a crazy summer. She's up to no good. Love it. Love it. Saturn's going through her 7th house. I mean, there's every chance during this transit she might stay single for this time and just date around and do nothing serious, and feel really frustrated with her relationships during this period. Like she really, really, really wants to be with someone. I don't necessarily think she's codependent in relationships, but she really, really wants to be in some kind of power couple or at least have power over someone. We'll see. But Saturn through the 7th house can be a little alienating, and that's when people decide, oh, I'm just going to marry this person. Very often they do that. I would wait through it. I would wait for it. I would use that Saturn transit through the 7th house to really get to know someone, Zoe. Don't rush into a marriage because you're afraid of being alone forever. You're not. You're Zoe Kravitz, okay? Try before you buy. Love a Sagittarius queen. How my Sag girlies? You're my favorite people. Love you. You're my besties. I never bloody see you and you always leave me out in the cold, but I forgive you because I understand that you're crazy little gremlins. And when we catch up, we're going to have a fun time. We're going to have a fun time. Up to no good. Okay. Guys, that was my reading of Zoe Kravitz. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye.